People, Deluded, I'm back again. Good afternoon, and I hope you're all doing well and safe. Now, I'm pretty sure you've all seen, let's just cut straight to it, Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood, you know. People would love to be in their position. I know Greenwood's a teenager, Foden's about 20s, just recently turned 20, so let's just call them two young men, you know, on top of the world, playing for two of the, you know, well, Greenwood's playing for Manchester United. I know they're not Man United of old, but that's the biggest club in England, and, you know, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'd give the world to have 5 minutes of playing for Man United. Same with just to be a professional footballer for all clubs. Phil Foden, world at his feet, you know. Man City, they've got a great academy. There's been an issue in relation to the pathway. So when you know Pep Guardiola having, you know, you're seeing Jadon Sancho leave, Guardiola has said, no loan, I like you. And for a number of years, you've been playing with these stars, you know. Any other person Foden's age, the closest you're getting is playing on FIFA and stuff. And they're playing Premier League football. They're, you know, I'm 25, you know, they're in their early 20s. I know some people that are older than me watch me, you know. We all had this dream of being a pro baller. They're on top of the world, you know, the finances they're earning, you know, the marketing opportunities, playing football, you know, both just made their debuts for their countries as youths, you know. Certain people get all the way to 30 and they're in the best form of their life. They don't get England call-ups. You've been given it at the start of your career. Well done, you know, amazing. You know, I'm sure you've all seen, if you haven't, I'm not going to go into details, but you know you've all seen Phil Foden and Mason Greenwood. They're in hot water over bringing two Icelandic girls into their hotel room. Obviously, with that breaching the bubble, and I do believe both players will not travel with England for their next fixture. I don't know how it will work, you know, because again, with these bubble things and the fact that they've technically contaminated themselves, you know, to a degree because they've not listened to the bubble, I don't know how it's going to work getting them back to England. Are they going to be on private jet or whatever, like I've seen on a couple newspaper articles? But just focusing on the act, you know, of, you know, two footballers, two women in a room, you know, getting into a room. I mean, come on, like, we can, you're not stupid, we can put two and two together. Now, on one hand, you know, boys will be, I can say all these things, boys will be boys, young men will be young men, you know. These two players, if they weren't professional footballers and they weren't COVID, they'd probably be in Mali or Magaluf out on the lash trying to secure something, you know. And it shows their age, so people need to allow them a bit, they're young men. But at the same time, we have to recognise you're not just any normal young men. You're playing for, well, one of you's won a league title playing for Manchester City. The other is playing for Manchester United and has just been given the 11 shirt. Some people make jokes of that as well. You know, it's a silly decision. And, you know, these girls that they've done, it's a lesson learned, you know. It's a lesson because I'm pretty sure, you know, they're not going to be the first and they're not going to be the last footballers to do it. It happens quite frequently. If I could, I would tell you certain stories, not of them two, but you know, discretion is key. They're going to learn this. They have to learn the hard way. You know, their names are going to be dragged through the mud. Phil Foden, you know, considering allegedly he's got a girlfriend and a child at home and he's conducted himself like this, you know, it doesn't look good. And it may be potentially, if it was a certain other folk with them sort of contexts applied, the media would have a field day. But, you know, Foden's, you know, he's probably got getting an earful from his current girl. You know, his teammates probably bantering him in the WhatsApp group. On a serious note, he's cost himself a potential another England cap. Let's not be naive. Greenwood and Foden will be back in that England side, but for disciplinary issues, you know, they've shot themselves in the foot, and it's, you know, it's a reminder to keep your feet on the ground and to be diligent at all times and to be focused at all times, you know. Discretion is key. You shouldn't have done it, but if you are going to do this stuff, not that I condone it, make sure it doesn't come out, you know. You're seeing a lot of, and I'm going to be careful, but you're seeing social media come out. You're seeing a lot of videos of these girls recording Foden speaking on Snapchat and things like that. Silly. Don't talk too tough. You know, Foden, obviously, Foden's just moved so silly in this. Like, you can watch the video, you can hear Foden talking. Like, what are you coming to the hotel for? And then Mason Greenwood was like, what do you think? I mean, we all know Greenwood wasn't trying to talk too tough on that, to be fair to him. But these girls wanted their 5 minutes of fame, you know. They even said, how are you going to sneak us in? They've recorded the whole incident, you know. This is a highlight of their lives. And this is going to happen several times. You remember, it's completely different, but Adnan Januzaj, some girl, he took a girl out, she thought that he was going to take her, you know, I don't even know where you go in Manchester, but the Shard or something. He took her Nando, she sold the story. So imagine two footballers letting, you know, two random girls into their hotel room. Obviously, they tried to pattern and they would have lived a little movie and it would have been giggles 10 years from now. And it will be funny. This will be funny when Greenwood is 25 and 26. But, you know, they've got to handle themselves. I'm focusing on the humour element, but on a serious note, you were given strict guidelines in relation to these bubbles you have to stay on. So again, I do think they'll be in the England squad again, and they are young men, and I can probably guarantee Southgate and all the culture stuff, they've probably done a lot worse or done similar, but it's discipline. Temporarily you've lost the trust. You've been trusted, you've been afforded this position, and you've disobeyed their trust, and you've let themselves down. You let yourselves down. Both of you have had solid seasons. For Greenwood, solid season for Man United, been called up, well at his oyster, and his family should be proud, and they still should be proud. But now they're having to deal with this, because you got to remember, these lot have families. Phil Foden can block himself off and stuff, but say his family, I can imagine he sorts them out financially, but people still want to go to work for pride. Say his mum still goes to work, and whatever office job she's got, she's fielding questions on this nonsense. Your brother, your cousins and whatever. So they've got to think a bit smarter. Their actions don't just affect them anymore, and they've got to learn fast. Like I said, they're human, they make mistakes, they ain't killed nobody. The only thing is, this could have been serious. Say they contracted corona and whatnot, it could, touch wood, it could have been dangerous. Again, you move a bit diligent, this doesn't happen. And if you're gonna do this, discretion is key, bro. Like, at least change your voice, Phil Foden, on the snap or something. Like, don't you're talking too tough. Like, you've wrapped yourself. Like, Foden just sounds like he's lotioning. Like, and it's all for media ones as well. It's not like it's some mad babes and that, but it's nothing. Let's not go on that one, man. They just should be smarter. They've showed that. This highlights, no matter who you are and what you are, they're still just young men, and they're going to have to learn from this. There'll probably be fines and all of this, and they deserve, within reason, for the rules, the world to come crashing down on them in a sense of justice, because, same energy people are praising you. This is a lesson. This is a lesson. They've got to learn from this. You've got to learn from this, because especially when you're two golden boys, the media scrutiny both of these players for football reasons and other reasons now in general before this is only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse, Greenwood, as you are this golden boy, and and things like that. So just learn from this and be smarter. It is funny, but it could have went another way. We shouldn't be speaking about this, and they've temporarily lost the trust of Southgate and things like that. But at the end of the day, you play well, you're back in that side, and I say they've lost their trust. If Southgate is coming out here saying certain people that are fighting in Greek islands abroad are getting into their side in October, then fighting police officers trying to get some nani, like, with pardon my language, the two aren't comparable. But both players should learn from this. Mainly the recording thing. Be careful, be very diligent. That 5 minutes of fame, it's all banter. Them two Icelandic girls, I don't know in the local papers in Iceland or their family or whatever, but they're probably close to celebs for 5 minutes now. Everyone wants to know everything. What did you do? This and that. What happened? Probably sell a little story to the papers. Probably exaggerate what happened and what you said and all of these things, because that's their life, innit? This means nothing. They're getting clout off you. They probably get a little Instagram subscribers and things like that from this. You get it, people? So just be a bit more smart, be a bit more diligent, be a bit more discreet, be a bit more paranoid. Like, again, I know they're youth and naive, but like, the warning signs were there. How are you gonna sneak us into the hotel, brother? Like, bro, that tells you that's a legit question if you're gonna do what you're gonna do. But that tells me already that alarm bells are ringing. Do you get it? And Phil Foden's not helping himself. So a man saying, "What are you coming to the hotel for?" Now maybe he's trying to specify, well, go on, and you can't be coming if if it's not a certain vibe. But Greenwood then goes and says that. So at least Greenwood wasn't trying to talk too tough on the snap. I find it quite funny, people. But on a serious note, they've got to be serious. They're representing the country. They're doing what a million players would and people in general would aspire to do. So they've got to learn from this. They've got to hold their L. They won't be making their second caps. They've got to deal with the banter. They've got to deal with the scrutiny. They've got to deal with the question marks. It's a learning curve. And again, while they're still young men, they're not just any young men. So while they should enjoy being a professional footballer and take it and don't be in so much of a rush, you've got to grow up very quickly. Your friends can be doing this. If this was any other teenagers, or early 20s, this isn't a story. It's the fact that it's Mason Greenwood and Phil Foden, England debuts, Premier League footballers. So they've got to be a bit smarter. Learn from this. Really learn from this. And this is why I'm starting to equally as important as football training. Young footballers got to be given PR training. Got to be learned how to maneuver Snapchat and social media. Got to learn how to answer questions you don't want to answer. And that's what I feel, especially in this day and age. Because again, how they got bagged for that, only they will know. But they've got to move smarter. I've got nothing more to add, so I'm gonna get out of here. You lot know it's always a pleasure. Deluded. I'm out.